what is a capital stack? Capital stack is kind of a visual concept that says, okay, there is a shopping center and it costs $10 million. What are the components of that $10 million? Generally, debt. Let's call it 50% of that $10 million is debt. Debt is the most secure because if the debt isn't paid for, then the lender will take over and repossess that shopping center. So the debt is usually at the bottom of the stack. And then equity or other types of things, but primarily equity, is on top of the stack. So for a $10 million acquisition that has 50% debt and 50% equity, your capital stack is 50% debt and on top of it, 50% equity. There's different complexity in a capital stack. That's a pretty simple one. Actually, the most simple one is 100% cash. That is $10 million of cash. That's the capital stack in that scenario. The more typical one is a combination of debt and equity. Let's call it 50% debt, 50% equity. Sometimes the debt can be 60% or 70% and just 30% equity. Sometimes you can get preferred equity, which means it has a priority over the top equity. So debt has a first priority, it's the first lien. Then you could have preferred equity that gets a return after debt's paid, but before equity gets paid. And generally preferred equity doesn't get a profit after its preferred return. So you could have 50% equity, 30% preferred equity, and then 20% equity on top of that. There's different ways to structure the capital stack. At RockStep, we typically have two pieces of it. It's debt and equity.